guys, we're in the truck headed over to the garage right now. We're going to get back to working on the Z06 project. So what we're going to try and accomplish today is replacing the oil pan gasket. So what kind of happened was we took the pan bolts out, or loosened them to drop the pan down before we pulled the oil pump off to ensure we didn't nick the gasket. And everything went fine. The oil pump came off nice and smooth, so no issues there. But I think when the car was previously taken apart for the cam package they put in, they damaged the oil pan gasket putting the oil pump back on, because you could see there's a little tab of rubber, a little slit in the rubber kind of peeled back. Like as you put the oil pump on, it like peeled the rubber back. So we're pretty sure it got damaged when they put the oil pump on previously. So that's not really something that we want to take a risk with and have something leak. So we're going to go ahead and replace the pan gasket. So let's head over to the garage and we'll check it out. All right, guys, so from under the car, basically you're just going to want to take out all the pan bolts, which I pretty much have done already. There's two long ones under here, the back side that connect into the bell housing, and then you just kind of go around and back out all the bolts. Some of them you'll need a wobble socket for, some you'll have to get up front with the wrench. I guess depending on what year it is, you'll have the oil cooler block here that'll have to come up to access the bolts, and then your dry sump lines. And that's pretty much it from the underside. And then next, what we're gonna go up top and do is pull the motor mount nuts off, and then we're gonna start working on disassembling the suspension components that connect to the body of the car, so we can lower the cradle down. So that's just gonna be the top wishbone on the control arm, the shock, the bottom two bolts here, and then basically it's just gonna be the 4 cradle bolts. We're gonna walk those down till the nuts are just holding it on, and at the same time we're gonna hold the engine up with a engine hoist to keep that in position, because obviously the cradle's got to come down independent of the engine to create more clearance where the transverse leaf is, and then the cross member here. And then we should be able to snake the oil pan out. All right, we got those popped out. These bolts here, let me see if I can move the light. And then these have stacks of washers on the back, but the washers do have little rubber kind of inserts in them, so that keeps them in place. But you want to make sure you don't let these fall out or drop them, misplace them or anything, because the order of these and how far off this stands is obviously important to the suspension geometry. I'm not sure exactly how they're set from the factory, but just keeping the washers in place where they came from, pretty important. So we're just gonna knock out the other side, but that's basically it. The 2 bolts here for the shock, and then the upper control arm bolts, 4 of them there. And once that's separated, the cradle is pretty much just held in with the 4 bolts. So we'll do the other side. All right, we got everything unbolted down below. So next we're just gonna hit the top nuts on the motor mount, and then we're gonna get the engine hoist in position. Just gonna put the 4-point pick on top of the valley cover, just pull 4 bolts out, put tension on the motor, just hold it kind of in place, and then we'll lower the cradle down on the bolts and be able to slip the oil pan out. That's enough project.
That's a whole nother process. I have a feeling these new mods, that's gonna just burn up the rest of that clutch that's on there.
Yeah, see the end of that. Okay, we got it. The cradle lowered on the bolts. Just got a couple threads caught on the nut just to hold it in place. And the engine supported up with the hoist, so we have some clearance there with the pan. We're gonna try and snake it out. All right, she's out. There's the windage tray. We're under the car. Slipped it out. Oh, we gotta crawl out over here. All right, where'd you put it on the, oh.
Oil out of it. Yeah, it's all filthy. The bottom of it's filthy too.
Yeah, we'll get it cleaned up.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not the factory sealed pan, because right here where these holes are, there's one here and that one there, they actually rivet the gasket to the pan. I guess when you're assembling the engine, there's no like alignment issues or whatever, so you have to actually like drill the rivet out to remove the factory gasket. So this has been done before. Somebody either had the motor out of the car or just did a pan gasket. So pretty interesting to see that. But yeah, we'll get it all cleaned up, slip a new gasket in there, bolt it back up. Cool. All right, so here's our latest find. There was this almost piece of, man, it's tough to make out in the camera. But yeah, there's a ring of thread that basically what we figured out is somebody must have previously stripped the oil pan bolt out, so they put a heli-coil, which is like a thread insert, into the pan, and then the heli-coil, I guess, wasn't seated properly or insert properly, so it started threading its way out of the pan, and now it's like in the oil pan. So half the thread you could see kind of pushed its way in. So finding more hackery on this thing the deeper we dig. All right, so maybe with this lighting you could see the insert a little better, and I'll pick it with a screwdriver. But there's the heli-coil that was inserted, and it's basically walking its way out into the pan. And then let's see if we can see on the inside here. The heli-coil is like half threaded in already, so
Get a new drain plug just in case.
well, progress is gonna have to hold on the Z06. We got the we swapped the motor mounts and dropped the motor back on the cradle. Cradle's up, and we ratchet strapped the arms up just to keep tension off the brake lines and stuff. And now we're pretty much stuck. We're gonna have to order a new pan, because we're certainly not gonna put this back in with a heli-coil popping out of the side. And once we get the new pan, then we'll continue on. Oh. All right, guys, I gotta take back what I said a minute ago about the hackery. Pretty confident that the heli-coil in the pan is actually factory. I guess I could take the other pan bolt out and check, but it's probably tough to see if it's inserted properly. But I would imagine the reason that they do that is because the pan is obviously aluminum, the bolt is steel, and this is not one of those fasteners that you just put in once and it's there for the life of the car, like some of the other stuff that's threaded into aluminum. So since this is a plug that is obviously pulled out every few thousand miles to change the oil and put back in, and pulled out and put back in, the thread needs to be a little more sturdier, more robust. So probably why they chose to use a heli-coil, so the aluminum wouldn't pull apart after so many tightening and loosening cycles. So now what we're gonna have to do is figure out if that's something. Obviously I could take the old heli-coil out. I just need to figure out what was put in there from the factory, so we get the right size heli-coil to match up with the cut threads, and then what we need here. And hopefully it's a standard size. It's not some like, you know, weird GM proprietary heli-coil thing or something. So that's probably something I'd look at quick is just pulling the other bolt out and seeing, but I'm just not even sure you'd be able to see that. Because if it's inserted properly, you shouldn't really be able to tell.